depends. What you were saying in services or when you were back home?
And when you was in services?
When we were in services, it all depends on your trade. You know, I'm talking now on the RAS, because in the Navy it was more than on a boat. But in the RAS, you had shore-based duties. So we're more or less depending. It wasn't much of us. In all, I think it's about 25% were in the air sea rescue service. So you most of the time you're on your own, you know, according to your trade.
Would you go through the whole experience again, and what would you change if you
No.
Straight answer.
I can remember the time when I used to wake up and say to myself, thank God I'm still alive. Because there are submarines all over the place. But today, up to this day, I think, and that's my personal opinion, that the submarine saw us, but they decided to leave us alone. Because they weren't after us. They were after the tankers and the ships that carried more material. And I used to look at the ocean. Well, in the ocean, in the night, it's very, very dark on the ocean. If you put your hand like that, you can't see your hand. And I used to say, they are out there watching us. The submarines are watching us. You know, so it was a case of living day to day. I have been through that. I can remember in Northern Ireland, I was stationed in Northern Ireland 1945, the early part of 1945. And I used to say to myself, will I ever live to go back home? It was so remote, you know, from Northern Ireland to Jamaica. Because I can remember saying that to myself, will I ever live to go back home? At that time, where I was in Ireland, they have never seen any black human being before. So you can just imagine the reception we got. They used to look at us like we drop out the sky. Away from going to the cinema, you know, and see one or two things on black faces. They have never seen any in the place. You tell people that, they said, how long ago that was? It was recent, 1945.
And as I can see from musical methods that you have been rewarded for you serving in the war, would you be able to tell us which each medal stands for?
Well, I've got 4 medals here. 2 for the Royal Navy and 2 for the Royal Air Force. The first medal is the 1939-45 Star. That was awarded for 6 months operational command during 1945. That's this one. Then you got the Atlantic Star, and this one, that was awarded to personnel on His Majesty's ships and merchant vessels, 6 months qualifying in the Atlantic and home waters. Then you have the Defense Medal, that was awarded for active service during 1939-1945. And then the War Medal, that was an overall service with good conduct on discharge from the services.
Well done.
And our discharge certificate, if the end is cut off, it's very, very bad. So whenever you see a discharge, you have to see one, and you see the end cut off, you know that's a bad sign.
Coming back from the war and coming back to Britain, how did people come across to believe that you served in the war as a black man? Was it a disbelief for them?
Well, by that time they have seen, because remember, you know, the black Americans were here. They also had a warm time because they suffered racial discrimination most of the time from the white Americans, although they were in uniform and fighting the common enemy. But you know, it was very, very, very bad for them. Because you have a white American who is from southern part of America. And he goes and see a black American in uniform, And the most thing is that this been happening a long, long time, but it never come into conflict, because this happened during the 1914-18 war, the discrimination, because as we all know, even though today there are certain things that officially it doesn't supposed to exist, but it still exists. Racism still exists, although it's supposed officially, it doesn't supposed to be, but still exists. And when the white Americans, some of them come from the hills of Wyoming, some of them come from southern states, and they come to England, come to Europe now, and the first and foremost thing was the reception that the blacks got from the population of this country, and the white Americans that couldn't take it, because the girls, that was one of the most things, the girls. At that time, Ginger Bucket was the secret weapon. And the black guys, they said we're all dancers, we are all dancers, don't believe it. Some of us can't dance. But that used to cause a lot of the conflicts. Because the white Americans, they just couldn't stomach seeing the black Americans with the white girls. And of course, the second thing is we are West Indians now, we were in trouble because we had on the British uniform. The white Americans, they tried to attack us. We were in the process of looking after the black Americans. Because poor souls, they couldn't fight back. The white American police was always there to arrest them, the service police was always there to arrest them. So poor souls, they couldn't fight back. We were the ones that used to fight back. But after a while now, I think it was 1944, when things really got hot, and the Germans, they looked like they were winning. They decided to put down this discrimination business. And most of the black American troops that were in non-combatant divisions, they started to put them in an active service. Yeah, that's it. And of course the whole picture changed because they ship out a lot. But before that, there were always trouble. It went so bad that they had to give them different long day off. The black soldiers, American soldiers, got different day off from the white ones. So it wasn't really, there was a war going on, but also there was also a different war going on.
Were you able to socialise in the same?
Sorry, can you just take the questions from the first?
Sorry.
You get a chance later.